So the answer is no, it shouldn't be more difficult to get a mortgage by just working for the NHS. But you need to know which lender to go with, and that's where a broker like Boon Brokers can come in handy. Let's dive in. So there are a couple of key challenges that NHS workers face when applying for a mortgage. The first is due to their income structure. NHS workers normally don't just earn their basic salary, they also earn overtime, shift pay, weekend work pay, and every lender is different in terms of how they treat this income. Secondly, NHS workers tend to change job role quite frequently, and they move in their payment bands, so this can cause issues as well. Every lender looks at these two criteria points differently, so it's important to contact a broker like Boon Brokers and we'll find the best deal for you. So if you receive shift pay income or other forms of variable income through the NHS, it's not a showstopper in terms of getting a mortgage. You probably still will be able to get a mortgage, but every lender is different in how they assess that sort of income. Some lenders need to see the income showing on at least 2 of the last 3 payslips. Some need all 3 of your latest 3 months payslips to show that income. What's really important to note is that whatever that income is labelled as needs to show normally on 2 of the last 3 payslips. So, for example, if you work night shifts, you would need to see night pay on 2 of the last 3 payslips. If it's labelled differently, if you've got one payslip that shows overtime, another that shows night shift, and another that shows weekend pay, a lender might see those flexible income streams as different. So you normally need to have the income stream showing on at least 2 of the last 3 payslips to make sure you can use it. So there are quite a few myths associated with NHS mortgages that we need to unpack. Let's dive in. No, there is not an exclusive NHS mortgage product. There are some products out there that will help NHS workers, like Kensington's Hero product that can increase how much you can borrow, but there's not a set product only available to NHS workers. No, again, not true. You'll have access to the same rates as everyone else. However, you working for the NHS might mean that some lenders will accept your income perhaps more than others because the NHS is seen as a very stable employer. No, again, not true. There are some lenders out there actually that only need a signed employment contract in order to take your income. Most lenders would like to see some form of track record for payslips before accepting you, but it's not a total deal breaker. Again, not true. They do like basic salary because obviously it's a fixed income, but overtime, shift pay, weekend work can also be used. Normally it needs to show on at least 2 of the last 3 payslips to be used by a lender, and some might not use 100% of it, they might use 75% or 50%. It really does differ from lender to lender. Not true. Lenders normally need to see a longer track record before accepting that type of income. It might be 6 to 12 months, but again, it does differ from lender to lender, especially with locum work. They view it as a sort of temporary employment, similar to they would for part-time or maybe 0-hour or agency work. As a locum worker, you don't know when you could be called, so it's not a stable income as such, like a permanent employed position would be, so normally 12 months is to be expected. Not true. So actually, like I said before, there aren't really set perks for NHS workers, but as long as you're employed by the NHS and you're not self-employed, you should be able to get a mortgage with a lender. Like I say, your income though might be treated differently depending on which lender we go with, but it's not the case that mortgage lenders just look after certain NHS roles and exclude others. That's definitely not the case. So you can improve your chances of getting approved for a mortgage by working for the NHS by just making sure you're well prepared prior to application and keep your credit profile ideally in order. So no late payments, defaults, CCJs, bankruptcies, anything that could adversely impact your credit report. Try to avoid that like the plague, because it can mean that large mainstream lenders that have very low interest rates might not be available to you. So the credit report is quite a key one. Secondly, make sure you evidence your deposit properly if it's coming from savings or gifts or wherever it may be coming from. Make sure it's evidenced properly. It's likely your broker, like us at Boon Brokers, the lender, and ultimately your solicitor will ask for evidence of that as well. And in terms of your income, make sure you document your income clearly. If you receive overtime, make sure those pay slips show that appropriately, and just alongside that, have your bank statements corresponding with your income too. Lenders and brokers will normally need that before submitting any sort of application. Thank you for watching this video on how to get an NHS mortgage. At Boon Brokers, we're a fee-free, whole-of-market mortgage brokerage, and we'd be more than happy to help you with your mortgage requirements moving forwards. Just submit an inquiry and one of our brokers will be in touch. Also, read the guide below for more information and download our PDF guide if you want even more information and if you want to pass it to friends and family.